Welcome to Raw Rant.
We are adorable, aren't we?
Oh, yes. Greetings, you sexy pop culture junkies. Welcome to Raw Rant, where opinions matter, whether you agree with them or not. We're hanging out with some of your favorite nerds to talk movies, TV, and origami. Just kidding. I meant to say Hollywood, which is also strangely complicated, folded up and twisted thing to navigate. I am your host, Shane, and with me as always is my brother from another mother. No, seriously, our dad was a hoe. Brian.
I wasn't prepared for that.
Where's the clapping?
Right here. I got it.
Got it?
Yeah.
Bravo.
Oh, that's not good clapping. Okay.
Bravo.
Also with us tonight is someone who is not here because he's probably streaming his puppy live stream. He had 2,000 people watching his puppy live stream last night. When he shows up from the Burnett work, Robert Meyer Burnett.
Yay!
And also hailing from deep in the salt mines of eastern Las Vegas, from the Salty Nerd Podcast, Matthew Kadish.
You know, Shane, I think it's funny when you say everyone's opinions matter, except when they don't.
That's not what I meant to say. And tonight's special guest may not be a face you recognize, but she has a voice you will. From the Super Mario Brothers movie, Teen Titans Go, Adventure Time, Gravity Falls, with more than 200 voice acting credits to her name, Jessica DiCicco. Yes, good clapping. Good clapping. So, thank you so much for coming on here with us today, Jessica.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, we've been really looking forward to talking with you. Yesterday, the Super Mario Brothers movie officially broke $1 billion worldwide. Jessica, it's estimated that about 500,000 movies have been made since 1888, yet there are only 52 movies that have broken the $1 billion barrier. What does it feel like to be part of the top 0.01% of movies of all time?
Wow, that is a very slim number. That is incredible. I'm excited. I mean, it's definitely like very exciting. Too bad I'm not going to be getting any points on the back end. But
I was going to say, do you have your Lamborghini and diamond shoes yet? Is that like
yeah, no.
what you do when the movie hits a billion?
I know, right? Yeah, it's so exciting for them, and it's incredible, like how much money a movie can make. It's just incredible.
Yeah, that's really incredible.
Though.
Well, you play Mario and Luigi's mom, as well as the adorable Toad and the news anchor woman, among other voices in the movie. Would you mind sharing those voices with us really quick and then talk about what you did to create them?
Oh, yeah. So it was an interesting process. Like, I didn't know what was going on in the movie. Like, when I was working with the directors, he'd be like, okay, now we're in the mushroom world. And then I'd, voice several different mushrooms and or toadstools, and then they're talking about this like family dinner, and we just kind of came up with voices on the fly, like the mom, Mario, Luigi, come on boys, come on, bring it in, come on, no sauce from the jar, sacrilege, what are you doing, and then newscaster, just like very, the typical newscaster. And then I did like Baby Peach, which was simple. I did like the bully, like, Luigi's bully, who's like, like I just remember the laugh, like classic bully laugh. What other ones I do? Oh no. And like the cute little toadstool, like when Princess Peach is getting her army ready to go. I'm like, but look at us. We're adorable. So, very, very concerned.
That made it into the trailer. It was great.
Yeah,
I know. It's so exciting. Yeah, and I didn't know who I was going to be playing until I saw the movie. So
okay,
I was like, that's me. Every time I was like squeezing my husband's arm, I was like, that's me.
Well, tell us the process. Like, how do you get a job like that, and the experience while like doing the work? Because voiceover is so much different than having to show up, I guess, right? For actual acting.
Yeah, I mean, for this one, so typically, you audition for a role, you get, like a spec sheet, like they'll explain the scene and the character, and like you'll get a drawing. For Mario, I didn't audition for it because I had worked with the directors before. So I went in, I had, no idea, but what I was going to be doing that day, no preparation. But yeah, I mean, typically, you audition, and then you maybe sometimes get a callback, and then you can like tweak the character. But yeah, and then I have an agent who gets me auditions. So that's like the typical way that it works.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So, I mean, did you get an opportunity to work with any of the principal actors like Chris Pratt or Charlie Day, or have you had a chance to at least interact with them since the movie release?
No. So voiceover is typically done, especially like in a film, like, I did some like incidental characters. So like I went in by myself and I just recorded by myself. And mind you, we did record this during like the height of the pandemic. So we were definitely recording this solo, each of us. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if the main characters recorded together, but the time that I did interact with them was when I saw them walking the red carpet at the premiere.
So you were at the premiere. So you guys, of course, get to be
did.
there. Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
you see him going through, but you guys don't go to the same after party or none of that stuff. Is that not really work that way?
I did go to the same after party. Yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't break
Yeah.
down and like say, hang out with them a little bit, or
No, it was very loud and yeah.
I've been
we
there.
just-
I would have
yeah,
been
I
like,
was, with my sister. I'm like, so old. Get me out of here. It was.
You
That's
literally
awesome.
became
Yeah.
Mario's mom at that moment, right? It's just like, Oi,
It's
the
so
loud
great.
music. Oi,
Yeah,
go
yeah.
home.
It's a thin line between like Jewish and Italian mom. I have to say, like New York, it all blends together.
Yeah,
Right.
it does.
the Super Mario Brothers has the highest grossing debut for an Illumination movie. It has the biggest worldwide opening for an animated movie ever at 377 million, surpassing Frozen 2, which you
I was
also lent
also
your
in.
voice to, right? Yes, right.
Yeah,
So your
yeah.
voice is in the second and third biggest animated domestic movies of all time, right behind The Incredibles 2. I should have asked you earlier what it felt like being in two of the top 0.01% movies of all time. When did you realize you were becoming a voiceover legend?
I need to let everybody know, like, your movie is not going to make it anywhere near number one unless you have me in it. So you just have to hire me for all the movies. And this one goes out to all the producers, directors, anyone listening. Just hire me for it all. No. I was shocked. I was like, wait a minute, because I forgot that I was in Frozen 2. I'm like, oh my God, wait, I'm in both. Oh my God, number one and number two.
That's
Insane.
incredible.
Yeah. I know. I'm trying to think. I wonder if there's anybody else who's worked on both. I'm trying to think if there's any overlap, and I'm trying to picture the credits. But anyway, yeah.
We'll have to go back and look at that. But you know what? Let's go
Yeah.
back to the beginning for you because, well, actually, let me ask you: were you a Super Mario Brothers fan? Like, did you play the games when you were younger?
Yeah. So I grew up, when Nintendo 8-bit system first came out. I was in elementary school. I played religiously. I loved it. So, it was really an interesting experience to see this movie, being a fan and having this be, like a nostalgic experience for me too. I mean, when these characters intimately, like you play them, you improve, you get better at the game. Like, you are Mario, you are Luigi. And, I think I feel like that has to do with the reason why this is such a big hit, because everybody feels a closeness to these characters. And like, I don't know, I feel like it's also everybody feels like they have a special bond with these characters, but it's everybody who feels the same way. But yes, I did play the games growing up, or I kind of stopped after the 8-bit gaming system. The Super Nintendo, NES was like too the controllers were too complicated. I stopped. I hated that. And then I got like the side buttons like on the side. I couldn't.
We get you. You're a child
Yeah.
of the 80s. We understand.
I'm a child of the 80s. Yeah. I haven't moved past that.
So let's go back to the beginning. Your father was an actor in movies like Steven Spielberg's 1941, Night Shift, Splash, and The Philadelphia Experiment. Did you have a chance to be on set when your father was acting, and what was that like for you?
I believe I was brought to the sets. I don't remember them. But I think, my father was working a lot when I was, between 0 and 5. And then my family moved to New York City, where I ended up growing up. I'm a New York City kid. But I do remember my dad working. I remember I have strange memories, like, because I grew up in Los Angeles from, birth to 5. And my dad had these like super fans and they knew where we lived somehow. And I remember, playing outside in front of our, house, and like somebody, walked by and was like, "Hey, Jessica, hey." I'm like, and like, I remember like being ushered away. Like my mom was like, "Oh my God." Like, "Oh, this is pre-internet, obviously." But like, how did they know? How did they find out our address? Like, that is commitment, man. That is very impressive. Yeah. But yeah, and I remember, my dad just had a lot of, relationships. I remember when I started, auditioning as a kid, later, like in 3rd, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, like I ended up coming back to LA during the summer and would audition, and my dad had a lot of relationships. So they'd be like, "Oh, you're Bobby DiCicco's daughter?" It was nice to know that I was, nepotism at its at its best. But
do you think your father's work had something to do with you wanting to be in the business?
Maybe subconsciously, but it's funny, like my mom, because my dad was an actor, my mom brought me to an agent when I was a little kid. I think I was 5 or 6, just to explore. And I did not feel comfortable. Like the agent asked me to say, "This is delicious," like about, some fake chicken nuggets. And I got super shy and I couldn't do it. And I was like, "You're not my mommy." And so the agent walked me out, and they're like, she's not ready. And we just like forgot about it. We abandoned it. My mom was like, "Okay, this is not for Jessica. We're not doing this." And then when I was in 2nd grade, Marlo Thomas came to my school and auditioned the entire school to be on her show called Free to Be a Family. And she chose one kid from my school, and it was me. And so so it kind of found me, like show business found me. Like I wasn't going to do it, even though my dad, had really, was in the business. So maybe I felt comfortable, in that setting because I had been exposed to it at a young age. Maybe that was just like a subconscious thing where I felt comfortable and wanted to do it. But I had such a fun time doing that show, Free to Be a Family. We worked on it for like 2 or 3 years, that I ended up, wanting to audition. So I did get an agent after that. And then my first film was Godfather Part 3.
I was going to ask you about that next. So I was looking through your IMDb and I went, "Oh my God,
Right.
she was in Godfather Part 3.
Right.
So you were a child in that. What was that experience like, and who were you?
Did you cut the horse's head off? That's the question.
No, that was the first one.
That's the first movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was in the scene where Joey Zaza gets shot, and it was a street fair scene. And strange to say, I worked closely with Coppola, but I actually did. So I was in like 4th grade or 5th grade, I can't remember. But I, went to the set every day, and I had a very specific part. I wasn't an extra, like I had a specific part. And so I was on set every day, and I remember seeing this, like, I just naturally gravitated to this like large man who was sitting in this cool chair, and he was watching a screen. And I remember just like kind of going over, and everybody just kind of like, like dispersed and like went away. But I just like stayed and watched. I was very interested to see what was happening. I was intrigued, and I was watching, where the camera was pointing, and then watching the screen. And then, of course I was watching, everybody else left, and it was just me and Francis. And he has a daughter, so he enjoyed showing me the ropes and like how it worked. And so he like, put me on his lap, and he let me watch the director's screen. And then he like, showed me like the Zoe Trope trailer, which was so cool. And like he explained it all to me. And so I really got a lot from that experience. And I think like ultimately I ended up, wanting to direct and produce, which I still want to do. I'm eventually going to direct. I think that was like, a very informative experience for me. Yeah, so Godfather Part 3. So then I was in the scene where Joey Zaza gets shot in the street. It was a very quick part, but I made it to the credits. So
Yes, you did. I was like looking at it. Sofia Coppola was also in that movie. His daughter. You were talking about his daughter a minute ago. She was also in that movie.
Yeah.
And so you went on. You did The Godfather. You're getting your feet wet, and you're going along, and you start doing a bunch of actual, actings as a child actor, right?
Yeah.
So you have quite a few credits. What was the point where you said, where you started to realize you had a voice talent?
Yeah, it wasn't until, well, it was kind of a process, but I would also get auditions for voiceovers and for commercials. And I remember I had this like really unique raspy voice, and I ended up booking, several like commercial spots. So I knew that I was interested in voiceovers. I knew that I was like, it was like positive reinforcement because I would book these jobs. So then, and I also truly loved acting. Like I loved it. I did a lot of theater growing up in New York. I did a lot of off-Broadway shows, off-Broadway shows. I remember, I did a play with Allison Janney when I was a kid.
That's cool.
Yeah, I was looking for the photograph so I can show you, but I can't find it. But and so I loved acting, and then I kind of realized that, and I loved voiceovers. So voiceovers and acting is voice acting, of course. And the thing is, we didn't really have that much animation in New York. So it wasn't until I moved to Los Angeles where it just became abundantly clear, like, this is what I meant to do.
And that was after college, right? So
yeah, after college.
Okay, so did you do the whole like high school drama thing, and did you study in college? You didn't.
I did not. No.
Okay.
Strangely enough, I was actually embarrassed to act in front of my peers. This was something like a secret little thing that I did on the side professionally, but not shy to act in front of Francis Coppola, but in front of my my peers, like I would never, could never catch me doing that. I did one school play and I hated the experience. I've never did it again. I did Little Shop of Horrors. I played one of the shoebop girls. But I really had no training. I really just kind of cut my teeth by learning with the directors who I worked with. I cut my teeth, doing off-Broadway shows, working with great directors, working on commercials. I just kind of learned along the way. And, it's really from many years. Like I paid dues, I paid my dues. Like I worked professionally as an actress since I was 8 years old. So, I kind of learned that way. And there was something that about, acting classes that I just never, they just felt so strange to me. And especially as a kid, I feel like now I would appreciate them and get more out of it now. But yeah, with the other kid actors being it was just too show busy. At least when I was younger, I just remember being noticing a very big difference. I was a very real kid. I did acting on the side, and then I noticed a lot of very show busy kids in also on auditioning for commercials and whatnot. So anyway,
you kind of came up just before the big Disney thing happened with all the kids. When the Disney Channel exploded, you were probably just a little too old for that group, I think, right?
Interestingly enough, so there was a core group of kid actors who I was always up against. We were always up against the same parts, and we knew each other. We became friends. We'd see each other. Our families knew each other. So I remember my friend Christy Carlson Romano, who ended up booking Even Stevens. She was in the New York pool, and then she ended up booking Even Stevens, and she just disappeared and moved to LA and started working for, she was on the Disney Channel train. I'm kind of happy that did not happen for me, because I feel like I got exactly what I needed out of acting professionally as a kid. I learned the craft. I honed my skills. I cut my teeth on it. I developed a major appreciation for wanting to be behind the camera. I just absorbed it every chance I had. Every time I was working on a set, I just absorbed everything. And I remember specifically loving like it was incredible to me how resourceful all the people on set were. If there was a problem, people solved it in such incredible creative ways. Like I learned so much from being on set. And then I went away to college. I went to school for 4 years. I went to Syracuse. I went to the Newhouse School for Communications. And and I feel like I had a very normal, regular, path in that sense. And I feel like if I had, made it as a kid actor, in a big way, I feel like my life just would have been so different. And I don't know, I'm just very happy for the path that I had. And now I can just be, I got to use everything I learned to just start my career right after college. And I've been working right after college as a voice actor ever since. So,
and that was the kind of the goal, right? Was to go. So after college, you're like, I'm going to go to LA. I'm going to make it. Is that kind of, or I'm going to continue?
I never knew. It's interesting because acting was always extracurricular for me. I never considered the fact that it could be a full-time job. I didn't even. The thought did not even cross my mind. I just knew that I was always going to do it extracurricularly. Auditioning was fun for me. I enjoyed the craft. And then it wasn't until, I booked 5 shows at age 23. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, this can be a full-time thing. I was always actually planning on becoming a producer and or director. But eventually I will come back to that. So
okay, that's cool.
Maybe when my kids are a little bit older. Right now they're 2.5 and 5, and I have my hands full. But yeah, I want to direct some fun kids stuff.
That sounds great. We'll talk about your stuff you have upcoming here pretty soon. Brian, you want to do that super chat real quick?
Yeah, we got a super chat from Rebecca Spade. She says, "My daughter loves the toy." Sorry, excuse me. My daughter does the Toad voice all the time. She wants Toad, Mario, everything. We love you.
Yay! Hi, Rebecca. Oh, that's so cute. That's awesome. That's how I learned how to do voiceovers. I also just watched my favorite movies religiously, and I just imitated everything, and I listened to the nuance, and I really picked up on the details of all the performances, and I feel like I really improved by absorbing and watching and really, really narrowing in on the details and nuances. So
that's awesome.
Your daughter should keep watching, and awesome.
I'm sure she will.
Yeah.
You've become the go-to baby voice actor in Hollywood. I loved Modern Family, and I was so surprised to learn that you were the one who did Lily's first word on the show. Lily, which was Mama, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So Lily has 2 gay dads, and her first word was Mama, so which is great. So can you do your baby? I know you probably hate having me.
Yeah.
Can you do your baby voice? Because it is crazy.
Yes. Let me prepare.
Okay. I feel you on that.
I just want to take a sip of water. Okay. Well, okay. So her first word, Lily's first word was, "Mama, Mama, Mama." And then I always do it 3 times in a row. That's what I'm conditioned to do.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
How the heck did you figure out how to do that? That's crazy.
That is
I have no idea.
It's just a natural talent.
I just did, I recorded an anime for Netflix 2 days ago, and I did, or whatever, on Friday, and I did, it was really fun to do, because I did this character from literally just born to 2 years old, and then again at 5, and then again at 6, and then 11 or something. So I love
keep adjusting
parts like that.
Yeah, you had to keep,
I love that. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, speaking of that, so you've done everything. You've done movies, TV shows, video games. Of all your work, what is your favorite, can you say?
I think, I love new challenges, and I love working on different kinds of things that I've never worked on before. So it just evolves as my career continues. But I think one that really stands out was playing Flame Princess on Adventure Time, because I had never been on a hit show of that magnitude. And, I got to do conventions for the first time in my career. And I got to, meet the fans in person and see what these fandoms look like and talk to them. I'm like, oh, it just really connected a lot for me, just having been doing this for so long and like really never meeting any fans. And then, you know, going on this wild ride of the Adventure Time like wave, like, you know, it was an incredible experience. And like I went to conventions in like, you know, London and Liverpool and Australia and New Zealand, and I got to meet fans all over the world, not, you know, and of course like all over, you know, the United States. And it was just, it felt like it was like a rock tour. It felt like I was on tour, you know, like it was really an incredible experience. So that was one of my favorite, because that was the first time that I got to do that. And yeah, hoping that Mario, you know, is a big, and like, I mean, it's obviously a huge hit, but you just never know what's going to resonate with fans. That's so, who knows?
Interesting. Yeah. So with the Adventure Time, I'm sure you get asked to do the voices all the time. So what's the Adventure Time voice?
So that was Flame Princess.
Oh, okay.
And she was just like, okay, so what was fun about that character was that she would go from like, oh no, can you hear me okay? Wait.
Yeah.
My Siri thing. So she would go from super sweet to, you know, like, Finn, what? You would defy nature for me? Like, very sweet to what? Ah! Like, to like crazy in like 2 minutes, like, you know, like not less, in like a minute, like a second. Like, it's just, that was a fun character for me to play because she's just so dynamic.
I just heard Unikitty, and I know you did for the Lego Movie game. Almost sounded a little like Unikitty. You did her voice too, right?
No, I didn't do Unikitty.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I did not do Unikitty. You know, what's interesting is like sometimes people think it's my voice and add it on my IMDb. So there's a couple things that I'm like, what? Like, okay,
I'll take it.
Yeah, but then I get asked about it, and I'm like, uh-oh. I know I did not do that, and I if that's on my IMDb, I did not add that.
I'll tell you one of the funniest things that that I was walking through the house. My kid's playing Sims 4 right now.
Oh yeah.
And so I've been like looking up all your stuff all week, you know, getting ready for this stuff, and I remember I'm walking out and I hear the voice of the kid in Sims 4, and I went, "That's Jessica's voice."
That
right?
Now you know my voice. Now you can like hear it everywhere. That's so
Right.
funny. So yes, I've been working on Sims 4 for like 10 years now, and this game, but it's interesting because like Sims is such a massive, you know, property, and you know, it's such a bummer because like I can't identify with any one character because you get to customize your character. So I feel like if I had like a specific character, then like I feel like that would be great for fans, you know. But yeah, but and the voice also. I've been speaking. I'm fluent in Simlish. I've been speaking for the last 10 years.
It's so hard to like you listen to them and you're like, well, are they really speaking a language? Like, what's going on? But you can hear the voice.
Yeah, we are speaking a different language.
You know, so this is something really interesting that that I found out about you is that you did the ADR for the most recent Russell Crowe movie, The Pope's Exorcism.
Yes.
And you tell this interesting story that you haven't watched a horror movie since Candyman came out in 1992.
Yeah.
So what was the experience like for you getting to do the ADR, and like what did you do and what was it like doing that?
Oh my God. It was so scary. So I knew nothing about this project. You know, the audition called for like, you know, a 12-year-old boy in a horror film. I don't know what it's going to be. I audition, I booked it. All of a sudden, I'm going to the Sony lot, and I'm in the booth, and I'm, you know, doing some of the. I did like, you know, the first couple, you know, pieces to do. The first couple of cues. Sorry, cues was the word I was looking for. And then all of a sudden, Russell Crowe steps in. I'm like, what? Oh my God. Okay, I'm opposite Russell Crowe. Okay. Well, not me, but you know, and it was interesting because like the first time I would see each part, I was scared. And then I'm like, wait a minute, this is, you know, it took me a second to like desensitize. And now that I've seen all the parts, I'm thinking maybe I won't be scared to go to the actual theater and see the movie because I've seen all of the scariest parts. But yes, it was scary at first, and before, like, as soon as I saw the the head spinning and whatever it was, it took me a minute to like be able to do the work. Yeah.
So did you have to do like the boy's voice, this like scream?
Yeah. So the actor they chose for the film has a British accent, and so I guess they wanted him to have an American accent. So I just did a little ADR and filled in for the parts where it was clear he had a British accent. So it's basically just doing a voice match, which is like a whole other like specialty in this industry.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, can you describe what ADR work is? I mean, you kind of did, and then do you do a lot of that type of work? Like, will you just come in? Are there like a ton of movies that you're in that we just don't know?
So I haven't done too many live action films where I had to do the ADR, but this happens all the time. Like every single movie you've seen, 100% has like somebody coming in to do ADR. They film the movie, and then there's like a part where they either change a line or they, or the audio has some difficult, they've technical difficulties with the audio, and they need to, replace it. And so, there's a whole industry, there's a whole group of people who specifically are, focused on voice matching. I have friends who are brilliant at this, who can match anybody. Like it's incredible. But I'm actually interested to see what's going to happen now with like AI. I mean, I feel like it could be disruptive for my industry, which is kind of scary. But
yes, I know. My brother actually does that to my voice all the time. Like, so we do voiceovers for videos, and he's got a whole like Shane. So my name is Shane, Shane, but he's named the AI version of me, Shain, like AI.
That's so funny.
Yeah, you're bearing the lead. I actually created my own version of like Siri or OK Google, and I named it. Shut up, Google. I'm not talking to you. I named it Shane, as in Shain.
Right.
And it actually uses his voice to respond. I'll be like, "Okay, Shane, what temperature is it?" And Shane's like, "It is 90 degrees out right now."
You're trying to replace me. I know it. I know.
Did you tell the difference?
My wife flips out every time. It's so close, and it's coming out of sort of a small Google Home speaker that it sounds right to me.
It's the pacing though is what's different. You can get the voice, but the cadence is what lets you know it's not real.
Yeah,
interesting. I wonder if they can perfect that. Yeah.
It was really
hope
funny.
not.
I was actually using his voice for an experiment, and I had him reading an article, and the article is not supposed to be at remotely like dark or anything. He starts off the article like, "Yeah, and today everything was going great," and then all of a sudden it's like, "But tomorrow." And it gets real weird. Like the AI was having like an existential crisis in like the middle of the sentence. "Tomorrow, it's not going to be." It was it was so creepy. Like somebody.
I wonder. I feel like that's going to be like the new version of a director. They're going to be like, okay, now say it, say it scary, or say it like a horror film, or like,
Well, the craziest thing are these AI voice changers. I don't know if you've heard about these, Jessica, but basically there are AI softwares out there that can basically they can mimic any voice, but they just map that voice over your voice. So one actor could conceivably do an entire audio play or audio book, playing male characters, female characters, anything. Just with this AI voice changer, and the actor delivers the inflections and the cadence and stuff like that, but they literally sound distinct because like the AI is matching their words and their tone and their voice and stuff like that with an entirely different voice. It's crazy.
Wow. That's like exactly what our specialty is. Like you just described, like to make distinct voices. So that's a little terrifying. Yeah.
No,
this is my new horror, my idea of a horror film.
Right.
In the future, they're going to be able to map like leading actors' voice, like Chris Pratt's voice, for instance. But they don't need Chris Pratt to come in and do pickups because anyone could just go in there and like read his lines and then like just map their voice or his voice over theirs. and boom, you have like the lines that you need. It's insane.
Well, did you hear like the group of people who specialize in that just like wiped everybody out? So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the directing, producing thing you're getting ready to do. Let's get hot on that. So make sure we don't lose our jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, we weren't supposed to bring this down.
Oh, whatever. Yeah.
So
there's AI editing video now too. I'm worried about that because that's my
you're
job.
going to lose your job too. Yeah. All right. Writer strikes. All the
taking
stuff
over.
right
Yeah.
Matt, you had a question about bad lip reading, I think, right?
Well, with the announcement that Rey is getting a brand new movie in the Star Wars universe, I don't think a lot of our audience currently knows that you actually voiced Rey in the bad lip reading of The Force Awakens. So are you like, yes, more work for me? Is that going to be?
Oh my God. I don't know. I mean, the person who does bad lip reading is so good at what they do. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like they just like to do everything. Like that's a one person show. Like that person could do every voice. And like, I would love to go back and do that. That was one of those moments that I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Cause I love bad lip reading so much. It was so funny. And somehow I got connected over Instagram. I think that was another thing that came through Adventure Time. Because that person's like a fan of Adventure Time, and then we like got connected, and then I did it, and that was a really cool opportunity. I love doing just like fun things like that. Yeah. Well, yes, I'm gonna reach out. Thanks for letting me know about that.
Did you have to study Daisy Ridley's voice at all in order to like do that, or were you just kind of going off your own like voice?
I think I just like kind of copied as best I could, just like the vibe of what we were replacing. I didn't study that one, but that was so fun. I should go back and watch it.
I'm actually surprised there aren't more bad lip readings for like The Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker. They just did the Force Awakens, and then they seem to move on from Star Wars.
Yeah, I wonder why. And I feel like they took a break, because then there's been like a lot of they took a break, and then all of a sudden I saw like a big burst of political stuff. And then, I don't know. That's the best channel ever. How many followers do they have now? I wonder. Probably just
they're pretty big out there. Another thing that people might be surprised to find that you worked on was the League of Legends animated show Arcane.
Yes.
And that was something that kind of came out of nowhere a few years ago and just took Netflix by storm. All the anime fans and League of Legends fans and stuff like that just tore through that series. So could you tell us a little bit about your experience working on that?
Yeah. So that was through a loop group. So that was like an interesting experience, because they had like a couple characters that they needed to voice. And so I just like stepped in and did a couple of those. And I just remember being so blown away, because when you do these projects, you get to see them. When you do ADR, I did ADR for that one, you get to see the project, you get to see the animation before it's out. And I just remember being so blown away by the animation, by just like the level that of like production quality, and just how amazing that was. I was really blown away by that project. It was very cool to be a part of it.
So I have kind of a fun story that I wanted to share with you, because it's not often we get to talk to voice actors on this show. But my fiance is actually a voice actress. And it was kind of interesting because during the pandemic, she decided to do a career change after she was like furloughed for God knows how long. And there's a school out here in Las Vegas called the Voice Actors Studio. And it's kind of led by this voice actress named Melissa Moats, who's the voice of Pandora and Ashley's Furniture. And great woman. Yeah. No, seriously, like you watch Ashley's Furniture commercials, and then you talk to this woman, you're like, oh my God, my brain's exploding right now.
Well, I thought you were going to say Ashley was a name, like, Ashley somebody. And then you said furniture, and my brain like did this hiccup for a second. So she runs this voice acting school out here, and my fiance decided to go and do it because she's really good at like telling stories
And whenever she tells stories, she like do different voices to them. And I always said like, man, you should be a voice actress. You're so good at this. And she eventually went to this school and she went through like a year's worth of training. And now she does audiobooks, and she's going out, she's auditioning every day. She's doing like the grind and getting booked for some jobs and stuff like that. So I wanted to ask you, like, if you had any advice for aspiring voice actors out there on like how to get agents, or like how to audition, or like how to break into like a different field.
She's like, do not take any more of my jobs. What are you talking about?
Yeah, invest in AI companies. That's my advice. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so out of the loop. Like, it's been interesting because like since I started, the industry has changed and evolved so much that I don't recognize it anymore. And like, I don't even know how people jump in and like, I don't know like the how agents choose clients. Like, what I would say is like, make sure you have a strong demo for all, the 3 pillars, which is like animation, commercial, and promo. Because in a voiceover agency, and this could be completely outdated advice, I don't know, but in a voiceover agency, there's, typically, 3 types of agents who weigh in, and each one has to be like, yeah, I think I can work with this person. Yeah. So I would just say just to hone skills in as many like little group pockets of voiceover as possible. Oh, by the way, this is iHeartRadio, right?
No, we're not. No, but
okay. Because I also do radio imaging for a bunch of for like iHeartRadio stations.
Mm-hmm.
I did like for the radio station in like in DC, like Hot 99.5. You're listening to Hot 99.5. Get tickets for Jingle Ball coming up. Anyway, so that's a whole other thing. That's radio imaging, which there'll be an agent for radio imaging, and like I don't know. I guess I would just say just to be in like, I guess your chances of getting an agent are best if you are strong in multiple departments, I guess. I mean, how is she getting the jobs?
Oh, she just auditions on like Voices and Upwork and stuff like that. She also reaches out to a lot of independent authors to see if they want to, their books turned into audiobooks. Have you ever run into this issue? So like whenever someone finds out that she's a voice actress, they're always like, can I come over to your house and look at your setup? And she's like, no. She's like, it actually kind of pisses her off because she's like, can you imagine someone wants to be a doctor and they just call up their doctor and is like, can I come over and just like look at what equipment you have so I can start my own practice? Do you ever have people like just come up to you and be like, oh, I want to be a voice actor. Can I like see like what microphone you have so I can get started?
No one's asked me to actually see my studio, which you are looking at right now. But I definitely get, questions a lot about breaking in, and I just, everybody's like different and everybody has their own path in. So it's always just like, my advice is always like custom for each person. But I mean, for your fiance, it sounds like she's doing the exact right thing where she's just, honing her skills, working where she can, and just improving and getting better over time. And then eventually, once she has like, a body of work under her belt, she can maybe get an agent or something, and then like kind of, just keep climbing rungs and, maybe get like, like an agent, like a smaller agent to start with. And then eventually you can end up with, the biggest agent or whatever.
Nice.
Real quick before I get to my next question, if you guys out there in the chat have any questions for Jessica, just drop us a super chat. We'll be sure that you get your questions answered about her body of work, voice acting, all that good stuff. So obviously you're tapped into the Nintendo verse right now. Any hot goss that you could spill about maybe a possible next movie? Is it this going to be a Zelda thing? Is it going to be a Metroid thing?
I have no idea. All I know is no spoilers, but I don't know if you stayed till the very, very end of the movie. Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Very, very end, like after the credits?
Yes, I never leave until it's all
Yeah,
over.
we don't leave until the lights come on.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah,
like
it's fair
that
to
was a
say.
little spoiler. I don't know. Maybe they're going to do something with that, but I'm just guessing as like, a patron of the movie theater. Like that's
For those of us who didn't
guess.
stay, what was it?
You can share it
What
now.
was at the very end? I need to know.
Why don't you say it? Shane, why don't you
Well,
tell?
it's just, let's just say it's going to be another IP that you're going to want to see.
Just tell me. Just say what the IP is.
What is the IP?
It's Zelda.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Was it Zelda or Yoshi?
Well, Yoshi popped out at the end. You're right. So there will be a second.
That's
Mario
what I was
movie,
talking about.
But there
Yeah.
is going to be a Zelda movie too. So
Yeah.
it's coming, guys. So get ready. for it.
Honestly, the Yoshi
Wow.
thing did it for me too. I love the Yoshis too.
Well, the Yoshi thing
all
was
of them.
like, well, listen, you knew that there was going to be another Mario movie no matter what. Like, it was so successful. You're like, okay, we're going to have a second one, which means you'll probably be back, right?
I hope so. I hope
we
they have
might-
to write my characters back in. I mean, are we going to see Mario and Luigi's family again? I don't know. Are we going to see that little yellow mushroom? It just depends.
Jessica, I wanted to ask you, what were your thoughts on like the controversy surrounding Chris Pratt's casting as Mario? Because when it was announced that he was going to be playing It's a Me, a lot of people in the Twitterverse and stuff like that just like went on attack mode and didn't really give him a fair shake.
It's interesting. I mean, I definitely have a couple of different perspectives on this because as a voice actor and just like, seeing this from, Charles, the original voice of Mario, who's been doing this voice for so many years, I feel like you get it like a certain sense of ownership over this character. Like when you are out there at conventions representing, this character, it becomes a part of your identity. So I can understand why he would have like a reaction to this. And then like, of course, all the fans identify him as the voice of Mario. And, this guy's been doing conventions for years and years and years. So I can see why there was like, uproar. But, another perspective is that, Nintendo and whatever, creator has creative license to take the character in a different direction or experiment with different things. And, I would love for voice actors, like true voice actors, to always, have the parts and be working. I would, that would be a fun experiment actually, to do a huge movie, the same, would this movie be as successful if it was all the original voice cast as the characters? Or, I mean, did these stars actually bring star power to the film? Is that what led to some of its success? Or is it only, or is it solely the, nostalgic aspect, the, kids' love for Mario now? Like, I don't know. Like, it's interesting to really put it to the test. We need to have a big franchise, hire unknown people who are just the best people for the role. I mean, I'm personally like, just as long they can hire a celebrity, but just as long as it's like the best person for the role, then I'm okay with it.
I agree. Instead of
some
filling
studios,
right. Good. What they do with a lot of these big blockbuster animated things, like just have like 50 A-list actors in there so they can drop the names on the trailer.
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah. Well, remember how it used to be was, so Morgan Freeman, this is all Morgan Freeman's fault. Thank you, Morgan. So when Morgan started voicing a couple commercials back in the early 2000s, I don't know if you remember. So he started like dropping some voiceovers, and all of a sudden, like, dang, that's Morgan Freeman. And all of a sudden, this name recognition started for voiceovers, and you then all of a sudden started dropping in the movies. All these early movies started having like famous actors do the voice roles, whereas before, well, Robin Williams, I guess, can also be blamed for doing the genie for Aladdin. Do you remember that time, because you were coming up through it at that time? Do you remember ever there being like, man, all these like well-known actors are taking all these jobs from people who just do voiceover work?
Yeah, I
Did
was
that ever-
cognizant of that at that point, but
Because you were working. Yeah.
I just like wasn't paying. Yeah, but like I'm sure it was becoming a thing, and it just progressively gotten more so. So if they were alarmed, they had reason to be. But I still feel like there's enough like work for both true voice actors and for celebrities to go around. Like, it hasn't hurt a huge population of like working voice actors. Can you hear me when that happens? Siri keeps
No.
We can't hear her.
Siri keeps. Ah.
It doesn't. Yeah. Siri's
I don't know
jealous
what
that
keeps
you're on
happening.
screen.
Unless Siri is saying, "I'm going to kill you, Jessica," then don't. You're good. You're good. It's HAL
They're
9000.
coming for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AI's coming.
This has become the AI stream.
We got a super chat from Ryan P. Speaking of fan cons, I'm a huge fan of the Loud House. I love your voicing of Lynn and Lucy. I'd love to meet you and all the Loud sisters one day. Do you go to conventions?
She does.
Do I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I haven't been for a while. But it's interesting because hey Ryan, Lynn Loud here, Dutch oven baby. Sigh. Hey Ryan, it's me, Lucy Loud. Thanks so much for writing in. Sigh. My Loud House fans.
You've been doing that for a long time. That show's been running for a long time.
Yeah. That show has been going for a very long time. It's interesting though because, as far as like the conventions go, you never know what is going to be a convention hit and what's not. Like, you don't know what is like something could be a hit. Like Loud House was a hit, but I never noticed that like it resonated, with fans at conventions. Like, you have different pictures on your table and like you see what the most popular properties are. Like Adventure Time. Like nobody was really there to see me for Loud House. But now, because it's been on the air for so long, it could be nostalgic at this point. And, like older fans could be wanting to go meet the voice actors of their childhood. So maybe that's happening now. I don't know. But I will be going to some conventions coming up. So hopefully I see some Loud House fans there. Yeah,
Awesome.
That'll be very fun.
Well, speaking of fan favorites, you're also involved in the Demon Slayer universe, aren't you? And that's something that's kind of like come out of nowhere to be like super huge.
Yeah, that I love working on anime. That's such a different challenge, and so that's always ADR, and so you get to see what's happening in the scene. You get cues from the animation, like it's just like it's like kind of like working backwards, from what I'm used to doing. When I do prelay, which is what the anime people call original animation, we we act the scenes out just based on our imagination. We act it out, we bounce off each other, and then they animate to that. And then when you do anime, it's already fully animated, and then you just get to insert the VO to and like working on projects like Demon Slayer, it's so cool because you just get lost in this world and in this crazy story. And I was watching it for the first time, and so seeing the story, like it was like a genuine reaction, like when I see this like crazy demon, and my character is like reacting to this demon, it's like a real reaction because it's the first time I'm seeing it. So that project was very cool to work on. And then animes in general, like lots of fans.
I have a bit of a procedural question for you when it comes to voice acting. So like my fiance, she creates these characters. Like she has one called Madge, which is like the old lady smoker character where it's like, what's the scoop, honey? That type of thing. And then she has like, the Southern Belle character and all these different characters that she kind of like develops. And when she's like doing an audiobook, she'll like pull them out. How do you develop your characters for your different voices?
That's a good question. Yeah. I definitely have some like go-to, characters that I like developed over the years. I'm inspired by my kids. We create characters. I I draw from my upbringing. I mean, like Mario's mom, that's like a familiar character to me, my Italian side. I grew up like, cooking, my grandma's, gravy, gravy or sauce. Like it's always like an argument and a toss up, but which to go with. But like you draw from what you know very, very well and what you're very close to and that intimately and the nuances. So that's where I draw from the characters. Like I have a character based on my mom. I know everything about that character, the way that character thinks, breathes, laughs, like how the character would react in every situation. So yeah, it's you just draw from what you know.
That sounds like therapy, actually. If you wouldn't
Right?
deal with your parents.
Yeah, it's very therapeutic. Yeah.
Shane's been working on his Russell Crowe impression lately. So.
Yeah. Just eating. It's just eating. Yeah.
You got your Aussie accent all ready to go, Shane?
Yeah, I'm working on it. I got eye, mate. It's good. I've eaten some Russell Crowe earlier today. That's right.
Eating some Russell Crowe.
Jessica.
I look like fat Russell Crowe. That's kind of the big joke.
Everyone on this panel loves Star Trek. And now that you've been in $2 billion grossing movies, can you just call up your agent and be like, hey, can you get me on Lower Decks or Prodigy or something like that?
We need you in Star Trek, yes.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I mean, all I have to do, I have to like wait for an audition to come around. And then I did audition for those projects. But I feel like, yeah, I mean, I audition for everything, every single thing you see out there. But there was definitely like a time when I had like a 2.5-year-old, kid, a newborn baby, a 16.5-year-old dog. I just I didn't have room for auditions. So there was like a good like year and a half where I just missed a ton of auditions. And like, that's why you don't hear me on many like TV shows right now because any like new things, because I had no capacity. I took a little breather. But I think like for shows like the some shows are actually casting, celebrities or like, like on camera personalities, or like sometimes they'll hire like influencers. That's like a little experiment to see if like influencers can act. But I do notice a difference in that way. Like if it's a big name property, like, like the Ninja Turtles are now all, celebrities of some sort. And like, on Disney shows, like I remember for like the new, Huey, Dewey, and Louie were all, names, so I actually do notice it with TV as well. There is a little spillover, but I have a unique skill. I can do, kids' voices, and I have like a range. So like, if I'm hired, I do have like specific things that I can do that maybe a celebrity cannot. So they have to hire me.
Yes, that's
Shane,
what I'm talking about.
Shane, Brian, do you guys think she could do a Starship computer voice?
Yes. One
100%.
of the shuttles. A sarcastic shuttle.
What's the line? Maybe
anomaly detected.
What is it?
Just say anomaly detected. We'll be like computer.
Anomaly detected. Anomaly
There you go.
detected.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Alright.
she could do it.
Space shuttle. I can
You're hired.
I can tweak it too.
Star Trek Legacy, bring it.
Yeah, Shane, hook her up with.
I can do it more sultry and bass. Yes. just start, in the fandoms, just like plant a little seed that Jessica DiCicco should be the next whatever, and get the fan base going.
We'll use our connections.
Yeah.
The new voice of the
Thank
Neo
you.
Constitution class shuttles. I like that.
There you go.
Yes, I'm in.
Well, awesome.
Do you have like a project or a voice that would be like your dream project that you'd want to work on?
Good
Like
question.
if it ever came your way, it doesn't have to be like something that already exists, but.
Oh, that's such a good question. I mean, now that I am reading so many, I've read every kid book with my kids, like whatever I want to do something for them. So, if they like a particular property, then I would want to work on that. And like, I have a new show out now called Eva the Owlette, and I play the mom and the baby Mo, and my kids are watching it, and like my son loves it. He is like, he's like, Mom, he screams from like 8 rooms away, like, I heard your voice. So like he gets it now. And then
What does that feel
been,
like?
Perfecting. I love it. It's like, this is why I do this. Yes. It's like, it makes sense now. It's just so fun to watch them watch my stuff. And now that everything is streaming and everything is there, everything lives there. So like I can go back and watch, Disney Channel will stop playing a show after a while, but now it lives on Disney Plus. So I get to show them like my whole library of, preschool stuff. And that's super fun. I'm on like Give a Mouse a Cookie, which, my kids love those books. And actually my son has been watching me do this, and he had an audition for something because it's like fun for us to do this together. And he ended up booking it. I wonder if I can, let me see if I can say what it is.
And he's 5,
big deal
right?
movie. He just turned 5. So he did this when he auditioned when he was, he auditioned and booked and did it when he was 4.
Wow.
And it's the cutest thing. I'm so happy his voice is
It's
going to
in the
like live
genes.
forever in this movie. Yeah, he's really good. Like I was not this good at this young age. Like he's very good. Let me see.
I think you were
if I
saying
can
he got the
say-
baby voice down too, almost.
Almost. He needs to work on it a little more. I'm a perfectionist. But we work on it. He asks me every day. Like he does it, and he's like, "You do it." And then he listens, and I hear him trying to like perfect it, and I'm like, "Yes, this is exciting." Can I? Let me see. Hold on. Anyway, but and then another funny thing was we took them to go see the Mario film, and my son is like, he's like, wait a minute. We're like, what do you have in common with Mario and Luigi? And so now, like, I'm like, the mom, you have the same mom. So now I'm gonna like dress him. He's gonna be Vincenzo, and he's gonna have like a yellow shirt with the overalls, and I'm gonna have him join the
That's great. And he's young enough to really appreciate that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's so cute. Let me see. I don't know if I see him. Well, you know what, everybody, I'm just going to say it because I see tons of people listed here. He is going to be in, no, am I going to jinx it? No, I don't want to do it.
We have to know.
The actor's dilemma.
I don't know. I can't. I shouldn't.
Okay. All right.
I signed an NDA. but it's all on IMDb, but I don't see his credit there. So anyway, sorry about that.
That's okay. We'll announce it when the time comes. Yay. Brian, grab that question.
I got it. Drew D for $10. Did you expect the Mario movie to be this successful when you tried out for the role, or did it exceed your expectations?
Thank you, Drew.
Okay. Drew is actually like one of my favorite names. So I did not audition for the role. I actually went in and like worked on it. So it was a big surprise when they're like, "Oh yeah, you're going to work on Mario." I'm like, "Oh my God. Okay." But like, you never know like what you're going to be like, what voices you do are going to make it into the movie. Like you could be cut out of anything. So I just, the way I operate now, like just out of like survival, I just like emotional protection. I like protect my emotions. Like I just do it and then I forget about it and I just don't get excited about it. So when I went to go see the movie, I was so surprised to hear who I was playing. And I was like, oh my God, it was just such a nice surprise. And so that was a big surprise. And then the fact that it is this big, no, like, yes, it exceeded my expectations. Like I didn't have expectations, but it exceeded them, even though I didn't this is just beyond. This is just like, and I know to appreciate it because I haven't really experienced this on this magnitude since Adventure Time, which was a big show, but like, I mean, this is different. You can't really compare like a TV show to a film, you know, but yes, this is just like such a surprise. It's
awesome.
It's incredible. Wild ride. Yeah.
Awesome. So can you share with us anything you got coming up that's not top secret, or is everything top secret?
I did that video game. I played Delilah. Wait. Was it League of Legends?
Interesting.
That'd be cool.
Wait. Isn't this awful? See, this is what, like, I don't know. I like ask my agents. I'm like, what did I work on? Because a lot of these things, no, like a lot of these things don't have code names, and you don't know what you're working on until much later in you know. So I came back to do my role again for something for this character Delilah, which was like a crazy character in a big video game franchise, and I can't remember because I'm so used to just like forgetting about it, so I don't like blow it, you know. I don't like spill the beans and say but that, and then we have more seasons of Loud House coming out, which is very exciting. Hopefully I'll be in the Star Trek, I leave this in your hands, a Star Trek property soon. and then other stuff too that I honestly can't even think of right now.
Okay, like, no worries.
My brain is so mom fried. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you being here. Just wanted
to.
It was so much fun. Her current project, of course, she was talking about earlier, is Eva the Owlette. It's on Apple TV. If you have any young kids or grandkids, our audience is a little more mature here, so you can hear her play the mom and also Baby Mo. Appreciate you so much for coming, Jessica, and we'll be watching your career very closely as you do the next Super Mario movie and hopefully some Star Trek.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yes,
thank you.
absolutely.
Thanks so much. So great hanging out with you guys.
Thank you so much,
Jessica. Thank you for being here.
Bye.
Adios. Okay.
All right. Well, that was interesting.
When she did the baby voice,
it's mind-blowing.
I got chills. It was like really creepy coming out of a full-grown person.
Yeah, you know, it's funny is because Jude is a voice actress, like she has lots of friends who are voice actors, and they all kind of have their specialty, and there are these voice actors who specialize in the baby voices.
Oh my God.
It is creepy, man. Like you'll have like literally like 65-year-old women who sound like they're newborns.
Oh no.
It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
I can't do that.
No, she's like a master at this stuff. I mean, she's like, when you think about like her body of work, she's been doing this for, you know, she looks really young. I don't want to, you know, dox her age here.
Don't dox her.
But she looks super young. But she's not. You know, like she's like Brian's age.
Don't say that.
They don't know how old you are either.
I'm very young. I only gray my beard occasionally.
Right. So it's really glad that she came on, and hopefully we'll get a chance to see what she does in the future. But speaking of Super Mario Brothers, so we haven't had this discussion yet, and I think we should just go ahead and have it here now while we've got people hanging out. The Super Mario Brother movie, it exceeded expectations. Now, we are on record as saying that if it doesn't make $1 billion, no movies will make $1 billion anymore.
Right.
Because I mean, it's Super Mario Brothers. It's got multi-generation people playing games. It would have to be a huge miss. But one of the things that we know about animation is that in recent years, it hasn't done so well because there's been a lot of targeted messaging and a lot of interesting things happening in animation that wasn't really, you show up and it's not always just, let's go watch a good show. Let's teach our children something, or let's have some sort of agenda. And this movie was just not that. It was just, you show up and it's like the video game version of you know, it's the movie version of the video game, essentially, right? Would you guys agree?
Illumination's basically the new Pixar, right? Like they're doing what old Pixar used to do, which is basically they just focus on telling fun, family-friendly stories. They have like the Minions, they have the Groot stuff, Despicable Me. And now they have like the Nintendo stuff, and they're just following the tried and true formula that Pixar used to follow until they lost what's his name, John Lasseter, and they kind of like started going with the more political messaging stuff, and just not very good movies, right? It used to be like a Pixar movie was like a guaranteed smash hit.
Guaranteed.
And nowadays it's like a real toss up. I mean, Lightyear, that was like a huge flop, but not as big as Disney's Strange World, right?
Right. Which
is not
how
a
was
Pixar
Lightyear?
movie.
How was it a flop when it was a Disney property based on a Disney property that's worth billions of dollars, created by one of the?
You're talking about Strange World?
No, I'm talking about.
He's talking about Lightyear.
How did Lightyear flop so horribly when it had everything stacked up to make it a massive $1 billion property?
Well, it doesn't help when you market it centered around a same-sex relationship and have the leading man who plays Lightyear come out and insult half your audience. Like that's never a good marketing strategy. So
yeah, I mean with its own problems. But if you look at Universal, so of course we've got the Super Mario Brothers movie, right? And then think about the movie they did just before that, which was the Puss in Boots movie. Last Wish, or
which a lot of people say is one of the best movies they've ever seen.
I've seen it. It's an incredible movie. Critical Drinker did a huge video breaking it down on why it's so good, and I'm like, it's a masterpiece of a movie. You go watch it, forget its animation, but you have these. I wonder if Universal's like seen the handwriting on the wall, and they're watching what Disney's doing, and they're saying, okay, we're just gonna not do any of that shit. We're going to do exactly the opposite of what Disney's doing, and we're just going to try to tell a really good story. And it seems like they're doing it over and over and over again. So, this bodes well for the next Super Mario Brothers movie and for whatever they're putting out. So is Hollywood getting the message, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. That if Universal's doing it right? So that means that somebody's getting the message.
Well, you got to remember that Illumination is a animation studio within Universal. It operates very much the same way that Pixar operates underneath Disney. And I'm sure if Universal was sitting there micromanaging, it'd be a very different story. But they're just letting Illumination do their own thing because their track record shows that they know what they're doing. And
we don't know that for sure, though. We don't know if Universal's engaged or not.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but, I gotta say though. What Shane just said about like whether or not it is making a difference, I don't think it is yet, but I really hope it starts to make a difference because I got two 11-year-old twins, and I have to watch everything first before they watch it, and it drives me nuts. And here's the deal: I don't really want to watch the kid stuff in the first place. So I definitely don't want to watch it twice, but I feel like everything I watch, every TV show, every cartoon, I gotta check out first before I can let my kids watch it to make sure that nothing is gonna, bring up some questions that I'm not prepared to answer yet or whatever. And it's driving me nuts. And if I gotta do that for the next 5 years, I'm just gonna.
Well, you have to do that with every Disney property because like you just never know with Disney. I think with Illumination, they have a pretty good track record of not trying to stuff in political messaging into their kids' films. So, I mean, unfortunately, we live in times where you have to screen for your kids. But speaking of screening...
well, you do.
Yeah, screening makes sense, but screening Disney is like, what?
Well, you shouldn't have to. I mean, there were years where all you could watch on Disney. I mean, Brian grew up, and I sometimes grew up in a household where the only thing you could watch was like Christian television or the Disney Channel.
The Disney Channel, right?
Right, because the Disney Channel was considered, safe.
Those
for
are the
everybody.
two things: Disney Channel or Veggie Tales.
Right, but content that's Veggie Tales is actually Christian, so.
Well, yeah, safe. Right.
So
or the David and Goliath one. Hey, Davey.
I actually love that
it
claymation.
Was so weird, bro.
It was the best claymation ever.
No,
but if
Davey.
That is so old what you're talking right now. That was even before your time.
I know.
That claymation. Go ahead, Matt.
I was just gonna say, a lot of stuff on Cartoon Network when my kid was watching that a lot. Like there was this one show, Steven Universe, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like super in like just filled with subversive, like socially political messaging. And like, you know, the kid was too young to understand any of it. So like, we didn't care, but like, I'd be sitting there watching it with him. I'm like, oh my God, like talk about agendas. No, it's not so much how they get away with it. It's just like, why would you put this in a kid's story?
Well, you can go all the way back to Scooby Doo.
why.
You can go all the way back to Scooby Doo. Like those cartoons were not made for kids. Like
I
a lot
love
of the
Scooby-Doo
content
growing
was
up.
pointed towards, you know, the Flintstones, Scooby Doo, you know, the Simpsons. They're not really targeted at children ever, anyways. But if you look at what's going on in today, I do believe, getting back to the idea that Hollywood's perhaps starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, the more movies like this are continue to do well and they end up making a lot of money, you know, the more people are going to have to start, you know, wondering, okay, what's the biggest form of compliment in Hollywood? It's copycat, right? People start copycatting whatever's successful. It's just the way it works. So do you think if they continue, Illumination and Universal continues this run of kind of putting out just good family friendly movies that they know everybody's going to come and watch, do you think that can turn the tide for everybody else?
No, not at all. I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
It's because when you have ideologues running things, the message is more important than the profit. And to move away from that is to admit defeat and to admit that their ideas are bad and being rejected. And they will never do that. They may try to put a new coat of paint on it, but essentially they're going to just keep doing what they're doing because they believe in it. And they don't care as much about profits. They care more about the messaging, about the power that it brings them.
Well, that is until you get...
That's always been Hollywood's MO. Right?
Well, it is until you get somebody else in charge. So, you know, it had to change at one point. If you go back to looking at Pixar, just like you're talking about, family friendly, you know, and at some point somebody said, okay, we're going to do something different.
But the problem is with a lot of these like Hollywood studios is that they're part of larger conglomerations which have a board of directors. And so it's very hard to change leadership. Like if you look at Disney, like you could swap out Bob Iger with someone else, but Disney is still controlled by a board of directors who are incredibly woke and left leaning. Like the head of Nike, Jack Dorsey, was on the board for a little while. So like it's very slow to change. Like you would need like to change the board first, and then the board would need to change all the upper leadership, and then the upper leadership would need to crack the whip or change out their underlings. And so like we're talking about like an institutional problem where basically like unless like you have like a small studio working within like the larger organization that just kind of is allowed to do its own thing, kind of like how Terry was allowed to do his own thing with Star Trek season 3 because no one was caring or paying attention. That's how you get good stuff. Otherwise, from the top down, it's just like injecting the messaging, which they think is more important.
Well, let's take a look at the top 10 animated movies right now. So of all time, the top 10 animated worldwide movies are Frozen 2, Frozen, Incredibles 2, Minions, Toy Story 4, Toy Story 3, Despicable Me 3, Finding Dory, Super Mario Brothers movie, and Zootopia. So all 10 of those movies, what do they have in common? Those are all billion-dollar movies. They all made over $1 billion, and none of them have a message or an agenda. Would you agree?
I don't agree with that, no.
Which one do you think has an agenda?
I'd have to look at the list, but I know that a lot of the Pixar sequels have like hidden agendas in them. And the only reason that they're in the $1 billion is because the first movies were so good. Whereas the ones that get in there are not very good at all. I think Frozen 2 had some agenda stuff in there. Again,
well, thanks to the snowman, that was going to make $1 billion no matter what.
Yeah. Well, I'd have to look at the list, but you know, pretty much anything from Disney or Pixar that's on that list has some type of subversive messaging in it. So.
I don't remember that. I guess when I was watching it, it didn't seem very overt to me. And so that leaves the other question is like, at what point does something become subversive or overt? And when is it just good, you can kick back and watch it? Incredibles 2 was a good movie. I didn't see any agendas in that. Do you remember anything?
Well, other than
That's the number one movie of all
kind
time.
of knocking down the straight white male in favor of the strong female characters, emasculating the Mr. Fantastic, essentially.
I didn't care though. Elastigirl had a tremendous rear end.
Well, that's how they keep getting away with it, Brian.
Well, they've been emasculating cartoon males from the beginning,
and sitcom men too. Don't forget, like every sitcom is about a dumb fat guy married to a hot chick who can't.
But
from the beginning.
Yeah. If you look at the first Incredibles, it was basically a family drama where like the father figure struggled with like being the father, but eventually the family came together to save the day. In the sequel, Incredibles 2, Mr. Incredible was completely emasculated throughout the movie. He was completely one-upped by his wife constantly, and the same message of family unity was just not there. And it's one of the reasons why I didn't like the movie. I just didn't think it was a very good sequel. So, I mean, like you could argue this stuff all day and night if you wanted to. The fact of the matter is like if it's a fun movie that everyone in the family can enjoy, whether it's a 3-year-old or a 30-year-old or a 60-year-old, then it's a successful film. But if the older people can watch a movie and be like, oh my God, I don't want my kids to be exposed to this, then it's a failure, because it's not delivering on family entertainment, it's delivering on messaging.
Right. So anytime you put message, and let's be clear, anytime you put message over story, you're going to fail. It doesn't matter what it is. Now, if you can somehow have the characters be a little more liberal and tell a good story, I think you're still okay. So let me ask you a question.
But I mean, like if you look at most of those movies that you listed are sequels, right?
Right.
And the reason that they're in the $1 billion club is because they got to a point where Disney knew, or like whoever was publishing that movie knew, people are going to see them based off the strength of the IP. And once you get to that point, it's safe to move away from entertainment and into propaganda, because people are just fans of the franchise as opposed to putting the movie at risk. And you've seen this with Star Wars, you've seen this with Marvel, you've seen this where basically a certain franchise reaches a certain level of popularity where it becomes too big to fail, essentially. And at that point, they can make it as political as they want, and a certain portion of that fan base will just eat it up and start to be radicalized by it.
Yeah, I don't know how much I believe people can be subverted by a cartoon specifically. But it is an interesting thing. 5 of the 10 top movies are not sequels, which I find interesting. You can go back and look at that. Brian, since we lost Matt, let me know, what do you think? So, would you like to see more movies based around the Nintendo IP? So they're going to see success with this $1 billion movie. They're going to want to make more, right?
Yes, I want to see a Zelda. I want that promise to be fulfilled. I want to see a Zelda movie. I want to see another Mario movie. There's other Mario stories you can tell. That can kick it off. But ultimately, I think if you ask me, what movie would you rather see, Mario or Zelda? In 100 years, it would always be Zelda. And then in the chat, someone said Mega Man. Mega Man would be sick too. So Zelda movie and a Mega Man movie, sign me up. But Zelda first.
I think Mega Man isn't Nintendo though. I think it's
I know Zelda is though.
That's a different video game company. But you also have Metroid. You have Star Fox. You got
Star Fox would be sick.
You got one of the things I want to see is what is the game that Mario was playing in the movie, which is Kid Icarus. I think could be a fun.
That'd be good. One. So let me ask you guys this question. So with superhero movies waning, I guess is the way to put it, with people kind of getting superheroed out a bit, are video game movies the next big wave?
I don't think, we just did a video on this, or an episode on this on the Salty Nerd podcast. I don't think Hollywood still knows how to adapt video games. Animation, I think, is a little bit easier because the people who make those cartoons can get away with more and stay closer to the source material. But if you look at a lot of like the live action video game adaptations, most of them aren't very good.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm talking about animated. So would you think there's a big enough, because here's what's happening. So all of our kids are playing video games, right? So a lot of the people who watch us are playing video games, but I don't know about you guys, but my kids don't go outside and play anymore. I have 5 of them. All they do is stay inside and play video games mostly. So is the future, like, you know, they're already buying the games, they're already playing them. Is the future in animating some of these games, like a Zelda animation movie would be good, I think.
Well, I'll tell you what, with AI developments, where basically you just create the assets and then you tell the AI, okay, here's what I want to happen in the scene. And the AI does all the animation for you, and exports that. And basically, like, they can even do the voices. You just upload your script, and the directors can go in and tweak the cadences or like whatever. I think that animation is going to become the preferred method of storytelling in Hollywood, simply because, like, you could do it all on the computer. Yeah, you could do it cheaper, you can do it faster, you could do it just as good. In fact, like, you wouldn't need such a big crew. Like, you would just need a director with a good vision, maybe, like, you know, some like a writer's room around him that could, like, just go in there and watch what the AI pumps out, and then, like, prompt, you know, type into a prompt to adjust it and get it exactly how they want it to be. And they don't have to pay for actors or animators or anything like that. They can just, like, use the AI to do it all, and it's going to be insane. And in fact, the Russo brothers, the ones behind In-Game and stuff like that, in a recent interview said that we're just 2 years away from a full AI feature film. Wow, I hate the idea of that.
Yeah,
I feel like the soul would be missing. I mean, it'll be interesting to see, because part of art and creativity, what makes art interesting is the fact that there's humanity behind it somewhere. And I guess if you had a director kind of deciding what the AI was doing or not doing, that might be one vision. Well, there's also, so, like, there are obvious, like, drawbacks to something like that, but there's also benefits. So, like, for instance, Brian up here, he could make a feature-length Star Trek fan film starring Spock, Kirk, and McCoy, using nothing but AI, and it would be his vision, like the story he wants to tell. Oh, CBS just took down our stream. As a singular storyteller, he could use AI without having to spend money on animators or anything like that, voice actors, all that stuff. He could, like, you will see this explosion of auteurs come forward, finally being able to tell the stories that they've always wanted to tell. So that's kind of the flip side of that AI coin, where it's like, yeah, it's bad in certain ways, but it's also really good and liberating in other ways. So, as long as the big studios will let you do it, I guess. Well, no, but I mean, like, I just use the Star Trek example because you guys are a Star Trek channel, but, like, you could do that with anything. If you wanted to do your version of Star Trek and have it not be Star Trek, but it's like, you know, Space Explorers or something like that, you could tell that story in a highly cinematic feature film level, like, output, and, you know, you don't need the Hollywood mechanism to do that production. If you look at what's going on right now, so the method of distribution has radically changed from, like, the heyday of Hollywood. It used to be that if you wanted a movie distributed, you had to be a studio that could print out on film, deliver it to movie theaters, and have it displayed in theaters. And then we had the digital revolution, where instead of film, they're now uploading it to satellites and downloading it directly into, like, the theater projectors. Nowadays, we've got YouTube, we've got the internet, we've got streaming video. Pretty much anyone can start their own streaming service if they want to, right? Or they can upload their video to one of these services that already exist, and people can watch it. So the method of distribution for content has changed dramatically. But what hasn't changed is the method of production, because you still need millions of dollars to produce stuff. You still need actors, you still need catering, you still need insurance, you still need all this BS in order to just make something that has that Hollywood cinematic feel to it. But with AI, it's now going to decentralize the method of production, where some dude in his basement can sit there with a computer and create something that's on the level of $100 million Hollywood movie, and then distribute it out into the internet. Like, I know I sent you guys that thing that the Roddenberry Archives made, with a deep fake Leonard Nimoy. Mm-hmm. You're going to start seeing people being able to do that type of thing on their own and getting it out there and getting people to watch it, and the studios aren't going to be able to stop it. And that's when things get really interesting. Well, yeah, I guess I guess that's actually a good point. I hope that's not where we're going. I noticed somebody said something about, have any of the movies recently had any soul anyways? I think you make a good point. Imagine if they were actually going to, to do this. I mean, you got a writer's strike going on or about to start, right? Mm-hmm. So you're going to lose all of those people. So I guess you would ultimately love to have that ability. So if it were to come about, I mean, it'd be interesting to see, but boy, it would put the whole industry on its ear, wouldn't it?
It really would. I mean, like the joke about the writer's strike right now is the last writer's strike we had, like you actually needed people to write stuff for you, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, when writers go on strike, producers can just go to Chat GTP and say, write me a script, you know? And like, I guarantee you that what Chat GTP would produce would be better than what 90% of those striking writers could probably produce, because most of them are crap. Right. We've seen time and time again how bad of writers are in Hollywood, because anyone who can put words on a page thinks that they're a writer, but they don't bother to study their craft. They don't bother to study story structure or anything like that. All they care about is that they knew someone who knew someone that they could get a script to and get hired. We just had, a voice actress on here, Jessica DiCicco. Jessica DiCicco. And her origin story was nepotism. Mm-hmm. It was like, right. My dad was an actor, and because of that, I was able to get into the industry. Not everyone has that type of connection, right. like they actually have to go out and bust their hump and work for it and get their foot in the door, and then they have to work even harder.
But it's harder than ever to get your foot in the door. It's way, it used to be Star Trek, they were talking about it during Jonathan Frakes' interview on the Shuttlepod show yesterday, that there was a time when Michael Pilar, I think was the guy who did it, who used to actually let people submit, scripts on Star Trek episodes, and they would actually, look at fan submissions.
Yeah, legally they can't do that anymore.
Well, see, and that's the thing, because the writers have all come in, and it's almost become an industry of let's keep everybody out.
But that's also why the AI stuff is so dangerous to the Hollywood system, is because it gives the freedom to the individuals. You're already seeing this in the Comicsgate movement, right? Where you have independent creators who are making comic books outside of like the comic book industry and having more success outside of like the traditional gate-kept Hollywood or comic book structure. And I think that the next phase of that is going to be in filmmaking and TV, where you have people who are able to produce their own stuff independently for pennies, right? And get it out there and build a fan base and build a brand and be independently successful outside of Hollywood. And Hollywood's going to be sitting there refusing to change and eventually crumble because of it. It's going to be like what happened with the music industry and Napster. Like that's a perfect case study of
it's happening in publishing now too.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of how disruptive this new technology is going to be, because it really does give the power to the creators. Like, you could have not an artistic bone in your body. You can go to Midjourney and say, create me a thumbnail poster of Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger making out or something like that. Right. And it creates it for you. It takes what you're seeing in your head and puts it into a visual medium.
Yep.
And
Would you call that artistry though, or would you call that lazy?
I wouldn't call it lazy, because like not everyone is meant to be an artist, right? But like,
maybe they shouldn't be creating art then.
Well, but the thing is like if they have a vision in their head that they want manifested into reality, and this technology helps them to do that, because it could be something where like the thing that's in their head is so mind-blowingly awesome that AI allows them to bring it to the world. Like, I've seen some incredible AI art on Midjourney's kind of like For You page, where it just shows stuff that everyone creates with a thing. And these are people who are just really good at like prompting. Like they know what's in their head, but they don't know how to put it on paper. Like, they're not deviant artists or like whatever, but
so
they know how to type it out.
Are we seeing the end of talent?
No, we're seeing an evolution.
Because you don't need to be talented in order to just have ideas. I mean, unless you consider having ideas a talent, which probably might be my only talent.
That's not true. That's not true.
But I feel like, Shane, like your argument is like, oh, like I'm really good at drawing stick figures on cave walls. This whole thing with parchment is just a fad. Like we're still going to be writing stick figures on cave walls instead of painting actual.
But they're still writing.
Art.
It still requires them to do something physical.
Well,
this would not be that.
No, you're still typing in a prompt. You're trying to figure out like how do I get what's in my head onto the screen? It's just instead of a paintbrush and paint, it's words and text and commands, and it's just a different style of painting in a weird way. But
so if I'm good with words, then I might be an incredible artist of the future.
Well, I think art's evolving, right? It's not just about like creating the picture. It's about taking what's in your head and manifesting it in a way where other people can see what you see. That's always what art has been. And some people are just more skilled at it than others. The real exciting stuff is, in fact, we watched this on Chrissy Mayer's live stream last night when she was doing it here at the studio. There's this thing out there called the Great Gatsby, right? Instead of Gatsby, it's the Great Gatsby, and it's a fully AI generated film trailer for a movie called The Great Gatsby.
Interesting.
And everything in it is AI generated, but it looks photorealistic. Like there are a few like flaws in it, but for the most part, that's like the early phase of AI filmmaking where you tell the computer what you want to see, and
Can we
it
put
generates
that up?
it for you.
Brian, can you find that?
Yeah, it should be on YouTube.
What's it called again? The Great Gatsby?
The Great Gatsby.
Let's take a look at what AI actually has in store for us, if that's the case. And that way people can see what it looks like. Because we've had great experiences, or we've had experiences anyways, with this Mid-Journey software, kind of watching. I think we had a couple of streams a while back where we actually just tried it live on stream.
It's a whole movie?
To show people.
No, it's a trailer.
Oh,
it's like a cartoon, right?
It's like 2 minutes long, but it's called The Great Gatsby.
Yeah, F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote The Great Gatsby, so
yeah,
The Great
Gatsby. I get that.
Who's this?
Yeah, but everything in this trailer, like the voiceovers, that's all AI. The images, it's all AI. The music, it's all AI.
I'd love to see that. It's all AI, huh?
Everything, it's AI, and it's
Danny might put a link in there for you.
I got
it. Blowing people away.
I have the cartoon anyways. I hope that's what it is.
It's not a cartoon.
Oh.
It looks live action.
Check Danny's link.
Okay. 1 second, guys.
Yeah. I was super blown away when Chrissy played it on her stream last night, because like, even though it's not perfect, it's at its earliest phases, this is AI filmmaking, and it's like, oh my God. Can you imagine the possibilities?
It's scary, but it's also intriguing at the same time. So it's like, what can it do?
Yeah.
And at what point does it terrify you?
I'm not terrified by this stuff. I think that the people who are the gatekeepers and who are kind of in the institutions that have been in power for since the dawn of the entertainment industry, I think they're the ones who are scared, because this is the type of thing that gives ultimate power to the individual, where they can go off and make the art that they've always seen in their heads and that they want to make, and never had the tools or the money or the access to do. Eventually you're going to get to the point where you could cast Morgan Freeman in your role, because like his likeness rights are going to be available for licensing or something like that.
All right,
you can't do that, Dave.
No, Dave.
No, Dave, don't touch.
Don't touch, Dave. Okay, here we go.
Okay, let's see it.
We're not seeing it on the stream, Brian.
I know. It takes me a second, bro. I'm not lightning fast like you.
This is all AI, guys.
Wow. Nothing is quite as it seems. One chance encounter leads to a night of unforgettable adventure and romance.
The music, the atmosphere. It's like stepping into a whimsical dream.
Care to dance and make this dream even more enchanting, madame?
Featuring stunning dance performances, unexpected twists, and a feline elegance. This whimsical and captivating romantic comedy set in the glamorous 1930s era is sure to sweep you off your feet.
This night just keeps getting more and more peculiar.
Well, they do say that curiosity killed the cat. But in this case, it seems to have given it a double life.
From the visionary creator of Taste of Duality comes a movie that will leave you spellbound and craving more. Get ready to experience the magic of
Oh, Lord.
Cat Spy. A celebration of passion, humor, and the pursuit of the perfect romance.
Why do the cats look better than the humans?
Coming soon to a screen near you.
Now, obviously, like there are problems with like the hands and like certain elements,
Yeah,
but for the
hands
most
look
part,
odd, so.
like the sets, the music, the voices, everything in that was computer generated through AI. Someone sat down and typed out what they wanted to see, and a computer created that.
Wow. That's it's funny because the voiceover was like was more supposed to be Morgan Freeman's voice?
So there's a AI voice out there. There's a service you can use, and that's the closest you can get to Morgan Freeman's voice on that service. So yeah,
I don't think they got it quite right yet, Andy.
but I mean, like look at that. Like that's something that someone sat down and just typed out prompts for.
Yeah, that's
and they
right.
created an entire trailer for The Great Cat Spy. You know,
Great Cat Spy.
yeah,
Yeah, it's because the AI couldn't say cat speak.
yeah,
because it's not a real word.
Exactly.
That's what's fun.
And like I said, the trailer is not perfect. Like there are a lot of like kind of like weird wonky issues with like people's hands and what their arms are doing and stuff like that. But for the most part, that's incredible considering like that wasn't like they didn't have to spend years learning 3D modeling or anything like that to create that type of thing. That was something that they just made.
I will say it did look animated.
So
I don't know, can you get to the point where it actually looks like people?
Yeah.
Like, so when we talk about Hollywood going this route, can we get to the point where, because I know video games look very realistic now. My kid's playing the most recent Modern Warfare game, and I'm like, wow, that looks incredible. But it still looks a little animated, you know what I mean? Or a little computer graphic-y.
Yeah, but I mean, Shane, this is like the 8-bit era of AI video, right? This is the earliest phases. It's just being born, and that's the kind of quality that you're getting.
Interesting.
Can you imagine in like 2, 3, 5 years where that machine learning is going to be?
I don't
know.
It's hard to know.
At what point do they apply an AI plugin to Unreal Engine 5 and just be like, boom,
right?
Just type what you want to see, and Unreal Engine just generates it. Like they already do that with Midjourney, where you can actually choose to use the Unreal Engine to create the art that you want to see. And
right.
It's incredible.
So let's get back to the idea of, is this good or bad? Now, Matt thinks it's good. Brian, did you say good or bad?
I don't know yet.
Well, can we have a better opinion than that?
I mean, I love the idea of evolving an art form, but I'm also an artist, so I'm pretty good at it.
well, here's the thing, right? So, like, let's pretend that Robert Meyer Burnett decided to tell Script Doctor to screw off and jumped on our live stream today, and basically,
we're keeping track,
Robert Meyer Burnett, as a filmmaker, because we screened his movie Free Enterprise here in Las Vegas, which was a lot of fun. Imagine Robert Meyer Burnett, without having to get a crew, without having to raise money, without having to do anything, could sit down and create his own Star Trek series, and he could just tell CBS to screw off, and he's going to release it for free on the internet. And but it's his vision, right? Like he's actually finally gets to tell the Star Trek story he's always wanted to tell, or take those scripts that he read that never got produced and independently create them and release them to the public and show CBS and Paramount how real Star Trek is done, and audiences through their support of these things tell the studios this is more of what we want. Like that's the type of power that I think AI has, where it empowers individuals to become their own production studios, where they don't need millions of dollars, they don't need rights, they don't need like any of the stuff that squashes an individual's creativity to deliver really amazing stuff that just 10 years ago would have required $100 million to make. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because now you're looking at a drop in the bucket. And for somebody like Robert, who does want to do more stuff, the problem is always funding. So you'll talk to him about, hey, what's the next thing you're going to do? Or, what do you want to make? And he's like, well, who's going to pay for it? That's always the question. So you're right. In this way, he could create his own project.
Yeah. And what's even crazier is that Robert Meyer Burnett could conceivably use dead actors. He could use McCoy. He could use Spock. He could use Uhura. You know, like of course, like there are, you know, likeness rights issues and stuff like that.
Right.
There's some ethical issues, but someone without, you know, druthers could resurrect these actors in their iconic roles and tell new stories with them if they really wanted to. So like, and also the fact that, like, for instance, like let's say Terry Matalas never gets the chance to do Star Trek Legacy. At a certain point, Terry Matalas could use this AI stuff to basically produce his own science fiction show without the need of studio backing and just go right to the fans, right?
I guess. I mean, most people do this stuff. They do want to make some money for it, but I get what you're saying. I mean,
well, no, like what I mean is like let's say he converts Star Trek Legacy into Terry Trek Legacy, right? Where it's like different characters. It's not in the Star Trek universe. It's its own kind of Orville type IP, right? And because of his work on Star Trek, he releases it and says like, hey, buy it on Amazon for like $30 to get the full season. And every single person who loves and supports him because of Star Trek Picard season 3 goes and does that. And he produced it for like less than $100,000, right? And he keeps all the money, and then he makes a next season off of the profits of that. Like that's the type of thing that you could conceivably see, and he'd be completely independent from studio pressure, from Kurtzman, from all that stuff. And he could create his own thing. So like that's the type of power that AI can deliver to individuals once the technology gets good enough.
Okay. Well, I mean, it makes sense. You kind of have me like somewhat convinced and curious, but we have to answer the real question, which is, will it take over the world?
It will. Yeah.
If we let it do this, should we? Are we being responsible enough to let AI go this far? At what point do they turn the camera around on you and say, dance, monkey?
All I know is I've never seen a movie where the AI was the good guy. Not once. It always ended poorly.
Well,
in a world.
Have you guys been watching this show on Peacock called Mrs. Davis?
I have, bro. It's
I
so
haven't
good.
started it.
It's really good, and I hate that it's good because it's Damon Lindelof, and I hate Damon Lindelof.
Yep, I had the same feeling.
But
when I saw the trailer, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be good."
Well, when I saw the trailer, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be garbage."
No.
And then like I started watching the actual show, and the actual show, basically the premise behind the show is that there's this AI that basically runs the world, but it's a benevolent AI, right?
It's like Google on steroids.
There are people out there who don't trust the AI, and one of them is this nun, and basically the nun goes on a quest for the Holy Grail, and if she can find the Holy Grail, then the AI has agreed to kill itself. And free the world from its influence.
Oh, I love that.
And it's a really interesting show. It's bizarre. It's weird. But it's interesting.
Well, and there's an actual like Jesus Christ in it.
Yeah.
So like because she
a lot
became
of
a nun,
heavily mythological themes.
she married Jesus, and like she has this ability to like close her eyes and just communicate with Jesus. And it's interesting, like the dichotomy between the AI, Mrs. Davis, and Jesus, and how some people are treating the AI as if it's a religious thing.
But there's kind of like a weird subplot there where it's like the AI might actually be God talking to humans.
Oh, I like this. Okay, don't tell me no more. This sounds great.
Yeah, it's a really like the whole thing
really
is kind of centered around like the Knights Templar and the quest for the Holy Grail. And it's.
I mean,
really
you got me there.
Like
you got me at Knights Templar Holy Grail. Like, give me more of that.
Shane,
Joe Cronin really Show. Good. Joe Cronin Show, $5. Sitting in my house, feeling funny. Enjoy. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate the support. Make sure you guys check out the Joe Cronin Show. He does Star Trek Late Night. Always hilarious stuff. Brian, can you give a small sample of Shine? So people can kind of see. They're hearing me talk here right now. Can you show like an AI example?
You guys want to hear AI Shane?
Of my voice? Because I mean, it freaked me out when he did it. It was like
it's actually really freaking hilarious. So
it's like I was like, what the hell are you doing, bro? Don't ever do. I think the first thing I said was, don't ever do that again.
Oh yeah, he was mad. Like, he was actually mad at me.
Because I thought
what are you doing? What are you doing? Don't do that.
He saves everything I do and to mess with me sometimes. You guys don't know this, but so I'm figuring he's like setting me up for something. Go ahead.
Of course not.
Oh, I know you are.
All right, let me tell you. Let me know if you guys can actually hear this.
I can't. Oh, he said, "The Flash is hands down one of the best superhero films of all time. No joke, The Flash is the ultimate movie-going experience as it has a little bit of everything: action, emotion, heart, humor, and plenty of nostalgia. Ezra Miller is phenomenal as Dual Barry Ailens. Michael Keaton and Sasha Call are also very good. This is a film that audiences will be watching over and over again."
It's so weird.
That is so weird.
It's all happy, and
let's
it's
see-
like,
let's
and
see what Matt says.
It's not quite right, but it's very close. In fact, it's funny because unbeknownst to him, I've tried cloning Alex's voice before AI Alex.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he does, but no computer can even come close to mimicking his voice. It's very bizarre. It's like he's like secretly guarded himself from AI cloning.
I bet
It's the metrosexual part of him that's actually, it's impossible to clone that.
You give me like an hour of uninterrupted audio from Alex, and I can clone it for you.
Dude, I've done that.
And then you can trademark it, and you can own Alex's voice, bro.
I knew that's what you're doing.
I'm not saying I did that, but I am the owner of Shane.
Crazy.
I own Shane.
You've been dying to say that for years.
I'm going to call it AI Licks.
AI Licks.
AI Licks.
Alex, we're in trouble.
Alex.
Look what our people are doing to us.
Dude, we can have an Alex and Shane show.
Yeah. Shane, you need to
really talk to each other.
You need to emote more instead of being so even with your cadence, because
that's it.
Yeah, the AI, they can't handle those fluctuations.
I'll be more emotional.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Hey, so speaking of AI, and this is a horrible transition, but we are actually going to be we're going to attempt to be going to the members section. If you notice, there's now a members section on both channels, and we're going to try something today. You are our guinea pigs.
Ooh, fun. Yes.
Because we set up a new member section on Unleashed and on the Prime channel, and we're going to attempt to go there at the same time, and hopefully this will, depending on where you're at, redirect you to the correct member section, and you can join us there if you're a member.
So whether you're watching from the Popcast Unleashed or from the Popcast, you'll all go to the members, right? It's the same stream?
Hopefully.
It's the same stream, but 2 different channels.
Got it. So thank you guys for everybody who signed up today to be members of the Unleashed channel. It's something we decided we wanted to start. It was always kind of weird. We thought, well, we're pushing everybody from Unleashed to the Popcast channel. But now that we have started using this this software to do our shows, we're able to do this. So very exciting. Brian, what do we got to do?
We're going to end this stream, and we'll meet you on the other side.
Where are we putting the link for people? Can we put it in this stream?
No. I don't want to put the link anywhere.
He's trying to automatically.
I'm trying to handshake.
Oh, so what if they don't go there? How do they find us?
Well, if you guys can't find it and you're a member, then you can just go to your corresponding member section and you'll find it there.
And if you want to see what's going to happen, because we're going to keep talking about stuff, and the cool thing about being a member is when we're not in front of the public eye, we tend to say things a little more interesting. At least things that we can't say publicly.
Putting it mildly. That's
putting it very mildly. Matt is a massive homophobe. It's real weird.
Oh yeah.
I'm
terrible. It's like I'm from the South.
So come visit us if you can. It's pretty cheap for a month, and we are providing a lot of content on after our live show. So hopefully we'll see you guys there.
Okay, guys, we're gonna try this out. If it doesn't work and nothing works and we don't see you, then we'll come back tomorrow. Hopefully this works.
Yeah, well, we promise a members show tomorrow if we can't make it work now.
Right. So if we can't make this work, then we'll definitely do a scheduled members show properly. But let's see what happens. You ready? Okay.
Yeah.